for another quick episode of Amazing Appraising here. We have our good friend, Peter Calderon here. We actually did an interview with him I think about a week or two ago. And he brought in more items from the estate that I guess he was handling, or various things that were owned in the family over the years. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Where did all this stuff come from, would you say?
Well,
just without going into detail, just in general, is this stuff that your family got in France and Europe?
I acquired a couple of items. I've lived in the south of France for over 20 years. So I acquired the Baccarat placeholders and the I don't know what you call this, the portable crucifix, which is used by by high-ranking church officials to give masses when they're traveling.
Wow.
So tell me, I guess you started talking about this. So what is this again?
This is from Lyon. This belonged to the Cardinal of Lyon at the turn of the century, and it's obviously, you can see the age in the case, and it's a portable case. And when he would travel to perform mass outside of Lyon, he would take this and put it up on a small stand and
show the stand that you have. That's
well, the stand, it would be something like this, but I didn't want to put it on its feet.
So we be clear, this actually is a thing that one would recognize an item of quality, meaning that it has what was called a custom-made case. It was custom-made to fit this piece. These little strings were made to actually to string around it. It looks like a baby coffin, actually.
Exactly. Well,
you know that?
The Christ was.
And this was made, this is like embossed leather with gold leaf, handmade. It has what maybe like an Egyptian or European design here, hand engraved. The leather is peeling a little, which is natural, as this is probably over 100 years old.
Wow.
And he gave it to you because, what does it say?
Inri,
which means
Christ, which is, and look at the fine. It's very beautifully carved in ivory with incredible detail and perfect condition. But this is something that would have significance for a religious Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it belonged to the Catholic Church.
So, how did you get this one more time?
I acquired it from the great-grandson of the Cardinal at a market in Nîmes, in the south of France.
Wow.
So he was selling it?
Yes, he was selling it. That's what happens when the family wants money.
Whoa.
But it's, you know, it's a fine piece.
Okay, so we have this piece here. And what do we have here?
Well, this is interesting.
Cool.
This is a small book in Russian silver. I think Russian silver is 850, and it was given to officers of the Russian army, and it contained pictures of the royal family. It has photographs which are greatly faded of the royal family of Russia, all of whom were you know, is murdered.
Right.
This is the Tsar.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't identified all of them, but it was, it's a precious little book.
Can I see it?
You mean you want to?
So if you have a friend, Peter, that says, do you have a small book for me? Okay, you have a little something for me to read? Blue, that's what you're going to get.
Well, these are curiosities that you don't exactly expect to find. But what happened was a lot of white Russians, after the Bolshevik Revolution, emigrated to France. And so you have a...
Oh.
You lost the picture.
Well, yes. I mean, it's very...
You heard of a fallout in Russia, huh?
You see, this is Tsar Nicholas. Yeah, that's the Tsar Nicholas, the one that the Russians killed in Ekaterinburg. I visited.
Peter, was that a bestseller, do you think?
Huh? Do they do book repairs on
hopefully
that?
Hopefully, it was
like
part.
Tiny ones?
It was part of their salary, and they were
You don't have a bookmark for that, do
given
you?
it. I do not. I do not. But what I was going to say is, in the 1990s, when I was working in Russia for the World Bank, I visited the home where they were murdered, which was since been torn down.
So again, let's just be clear. This, how did you acquire this?
I bought this also in a market in the south of France. Presumably
It wasn't a book market, was it?
well, you know, in markets
They have everything, right? I'll close that for you. And again, the story is that this was given to
officers of the Russian army who served, of course, the monarchy, the Tsar,
Right.
and it has photographs, small photographs of the members of the royal family. Most of them are the Tsar.
And this would say it looks like early 1900s, right? Turn of the century?
Yes, I would say, absolutely.
It's smaller than the watch.
Yeah, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
Well,
For size detail
Yeah,
here.
for reference.
Here, for reference here. You want to show something? Let me show something here.
Smaller than that.
absolutely.
Wild.
Here, why don't we do this here?
Yeah.
This is a quarter.
Wow.
Huh?
Fancy that.
Go to your public library, show them that. Say, do you have a similar book there?
I don't know how they would have it exhibited as part of.
Can I get a copy of that of that book?
Right, okay, cool. Yeah, do you have that in large print maybe?
You know, it doesn't. There's no text. They were supposed to be impressed by the image of the Tsar.
Well, I'm impressed by the whole package there. You know that?
The detail's impeccable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we have here? This looks like
Well, this is a carving in bone, another religious carving of. I don't know if those are.
looks like two women.
Yes, in prayer. So they're not the Greek. What is they're not the Greek 5.
So I'm going to explain to you.
Virtues.
When it has this space missing here, that means it was put on something and it was made to fit
Well,
that indentation.
I think that was when you cut a bone in half. That's what you get.
You think?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I
It's the
don't know.
bone.
That the marrow, the bone marrow, is
Uh-huh.
usually typically goes in that center part.
Okay,
And then
cool.
they carved it. But I don't know what animal. I don't think it was a tusk. It could have been.
That's more,
Well, it looks like a
more
bone.
grainy, yes. Okay, and what do we have here?
Wow.
This is a,
It's a 1920s watch. It has a silver case, and it's very.
the brand
as the
looks like
French
it
would say,
says,
typé.
it looks like it says Zyler or something, Z-I-Y-E-R,
It's a
Zyler.
forgotten.
And the movement
mark.
is different than the dial, which
Can we
is quite
see
unusual.
inside? Wow.
The movement says, I don't know if you can pick that up, Miss Lewis. It says Duward, D-U-W-A-R-D, Duward.
Yes.
Okay,
Got
those
that.
little red, those actually stones. They're technically called slight rubies.
Yeah.
And this watch has a mark on it which says it has 15 rubies, which is a little below the average. The average is 18 to 20.
The rubies help the mechanical movement.
Yes, it does. And this is stamped 800 fine silver, so this is European silver officially. That's the number of the model, and that's one of the the hallmarks. And this is on a worn, we're going to call it like a leather strap. So it doesn't work. It needs to be cleaned and serviced. It's something we can do, but the cost to repair it, the dial has what they call nice color discoloration, nice aging on it. It has like a gold tone in the middle, a sub-second hand. You know, in perfect condition. If it was restored perfectly, it would probably retail $1,000. But it's going to cost probably a couple hundred to be repaired. If you know, you can leave it with us if you wish to do that. We're happy to oblige you to do that. Okay. Next, what do we have here? This looks like a set of
Sterling
sterling
Tea Set,
silver.
19th century. I think it's Burke, I was told.
Right, so Burke's. This is a tea set. I think this is missing a cover. We're not 100% sure. We believe so. Now, interestingly enough, what happened with this is this was actually taken in for auction, and it was returned because after careful inspection, they noticed this here, Miss Blue, this is ivory on the handles.
Wow.
Now they offered me the possibility of replacing it with Baccarat, but they wanted money for that.
I'm sure Backlight's probably more expensive than ivory.
So I didn't do it.
I got it. So no, it wouldn't pay. I mean, there's nothing. This set is average. You can look here. It's got dents here, unfortunately. But the key here is that it has some ivory issues. So hence, ivory, Miss Blue, as we discussed in the previous episode, is illegal to own, illegal to buy, illegal to sell. There's actually more requirements and penalties handling ivory than there is handling cocaine. So you've got to be very, very careful.
It's a very good line.
But it's true.
You would know.
It's true. I have customers that have a collection worth $20 million of ivory. They haven't played for years, and now it's virtually unsaleable.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know that you have to be able to. That means if the government comes in, and there's so many regulations. There's city, state, and federal. And they're all different.
Yeah.
So,
actually, in New Jersey, you can. It doesn't. I don't.
You can do what?
It's not prohibited in New Jersey.
It's what?
It's not prohibited. It's a law. It was a New York State law, and it may be adopted by other states. But I remember.
No, it's a federal law. Obama made it a very severe thing, like 20 years in jail, like very severe. Obama, but there's different, but it's not clear, and there's different regulations. So it's your obligation that if you have any possession of ivory, you have to be able to prove that it was like imported in this country,
Yes.
like before 1960.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to clearly prove it. You can't just say it looks like that or something like that. You got to have.
And in California, they don't even allow that.
Right.
It's like,
It's very curious. I was reading the obituary of a woman who had written a book, an important book in the 1950s, to preserve the elephants of Africa, which were beginning to disappear. Now you can imagine how many more elephants were there in the 1950s than they are today.
Right. There's so many of
But
them.
it was a problem that was flagged 75 years ago.
Right. So this little set here, again, we would have loved to have it with the cover here. We would have loved to have it with the serving tray, which is very heavy and very relevant to have with the complete set. And there are some dents and things like that, which occur over the time. And of course, we would prefer a better name, as in Tiffany, Cartier, Buccellati, something like that. Let's see what we have here. So let me open this up. So these are what we're going to call Baccarat. These are called, they're made out of crystal. Miss Blue, do you know what they were used for?
Baccarat.
We got a set here. We got about 3 of the larger ones here.
It's a game. It's a game. It's a game. Baccarat is a game.
It is.
It's a game.
It's a game.
Do you know what these were used for?
They were used for.
Okay, I'll tell you. They were used for serving when we'll say wealthy people had their meals, their parties, whatever it was. It would be a little stand, a rest for the knives and forks.
Yes.
So they wouldn't.
So that you wouldn't dirty the
cloth.
tablecloth.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Instead of dirtying the tablecloth, you break their crystal.
Only in the best families.
Okay, so
only in the best families.
Only in the best families, right? My father used to have something like this, very similar, to help him read. It was like a magnifier. You know that?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the papers. So here we have a set probably of about 12. Very interestingly, in the original, is this the original case? I don't think so. They would doubt that because
this was Orfèvre.
Why wouldn't this be the
silver.
original case, Peter?
That I don't know.
I'll tell you, because if it was the original case, there was nothing to separate these pieces. So they would hit each other, crack, and break.
That's right, the original case, exactly.
Had separations, right? And this too, why isn't this the original case?
No,
Same reason. This was a case to handle deluxe cigars. 10 cigars, diplomats.
That was my guess.
Probably from, I was going to say French. I was going to say Cuba, but I guess. You ever see what an old rubber band looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, they just sort of die. They like crack. You know, they put a rubber band. They're like a crack band. Okay. So these are interesting, but they're not terribly valuable. Not a lot of people today have formal dinners. A lot of people use sterling silver, and the ones that do don't use Baccarat resting pieces for their silverware.
I have a set at home that's metal and with animals.
Metal with animals.
Well, yeah, the animal figures. They're cute.
And what do we have here? This looks like we got another tier coffee set.
This is, yes, much more middle class because it's, I think it's
It looks like pewter.
And it's
pewter. One of the cheaper metals made. They used a lot of this in, it's a heavier, it's typically heavier than silver. It has very little intrinsic metal value. I don't know exactly today what the market per pound or per ton is of pewter.
This is engraved.
Yeah, it's a pretty set.
It's like a large espresso maker. You know, those ones where you twist off the top and.
So cool, but this is not. It has a name here. I guess Dixon. Probably, if I'm guessing, this is probably from 1920s or so.
Yes.
But again, it doesn't have much resale value.
More decorative.
Decorative. That's what
I don't
saying.
think someone would go to the trouble to make a big coffee pot in here.
Yeah, probably not.
There's a little number here.
Pure cubes, you know that?
What does that little number mean? It says 25. Could that be?
So I'm going to tell you what it probably means. It probably means that when they were mass producing this piece was number 25. That means the top of the coffee pot. We're going to put 25 on the pot, which was 26. This is 27. This is 28.
Right.
And go on from there.
The parts.
Probably.
Yeah.
Parts. So just as far as putting it together, I'm guessing. Actually, here, you know what? This is also 25. So the answer is going to be different now. The answer is going to be, do you know, Mr. Peter?
Plot twist.
It identifies the set.
Very good. Peter, you can be a professional appraiser. So this means that 25 refers to this design and this set. So why did they do that? What's the purpose for that? Why giving it a number?
Well, because it's mass produced, I guess.
No, but what's the logical reason? Everything has a reason.
Oh, this is 47.
Huh? Okay. But what's the reason that these have 25?
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
So the answer typically would be is that if you're, I don't know, if this came down your family, I don't know how you got this, or another market.
Right.
Another market. This man supports the markets in Paris. Okay? He used to go there every time and buy all these religious tchotchkes, these gifts, anyhow. So the answer, the simple logical answer would be is the person that owned this, Mrs. Jones from wherever she was in Paris or wherever she might have been, if she lost a piece, she'd go back to her store and say, and they would say, what piece did you lose? And she goes, I lost it from this set, and they'd look up and go, 25 or 26. And then they would know.
They have it in stock.
That's what they would do, or they'd order it so she would get the matching piece for that. Okay? That would be the most logical reason as to why they did that. Got it?
Lee, this is incredibly charming. My wife is going to my wife's going to be very upset.
No, that was not what you were going to say. Say what you were going to say. She was going to shoot you. You can say that.
No, she doesn't have a gun.
But if she had one, she was going to shoot you. She'll strangle you. Huh? No?
I heard an S.
She'll just give me a hard time for the next hour and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, let's stay here for an hour and a half.
So anyway,
okay.
Thank you.
One more time, and we have this here piece. This is our piece de resistance. Tell us. This looks like a Byzantine. Looks like sort of a very like on silk.
Oh wow.
That was hand woven. And
embroidered,
embroidered, and it looks like you have some. It looks like sort of an angel, I'm guessing.
Yes.
With wings and some. This to me looks like some, like I would say, like Egyptian motif.
Yes, it's Byzantine. It's about 1,000 years old. And
this,
of course.
Oh my goodness.
The tissue is by this time quite distressed. Yeah. But I put it in acid-free.
And this here is probably a stain, a water stain or something like that.
Yes.
So unfortunately, everything goes by supply and demand. So a lot of these old Egyptian sort of relics are not very, they're not rare. that is just something that's even 1,000 years old.
Right.
You have coins.
Of course.
All these coins that are not terribly valuable. So I'm going to see if we can find a client for this. But off the top of my head, I've seen these before, and they don't bring a lot of money. They bring in the hundreds, not the thousands, typically. The condition is average, but of course, so what you're going to want to look for in this is one that has considerably more detail, of an artist that is very, very skilled, maybe even an artist that signed it. And
this was obviously part of a much bigger piece.
Sure.
It's been
cut down.
cut.
So, anyhow, so we're going to talk about this afterwards in a minute, but anyhow, Peter, it was a pleasure seeing you again.
That was, yes.
Okay.
This is, you've got this is one of the most interesting galleries in New York.
Probably the world. No, seriously.
You've done a great job. Quite an inventory.
So, okay, so till next time, this is Lee signing off with my friend Peter. And if you guys have any questions about anything that you want to have appraised or sold or transformed, please let us know, and we're happy to address your issues, okay?
Everyone, check out our Instagram, APR57NYC. We have a lot of great content always.
Okay, guys, take care.